6:30 p.m. Eastern. Shelby's World Live taking off. Questions will be answered cause the queen get it off. Unity is for the black and brown community. Conversation without scrutiny. Hey, we speak from a place of power, no coward. We just making sure the truth isn't overpowered. Black goddess, black queen, no in between. Radio podcast to the big screen. Her smile is everything, can light up a room. She say what she means, that's why we're in tune. Grown woman handles her biz like it is. Discipline, her role model for the kids. Nothing was given, everything she earned. She sat back and learned, and now it's her turn. So stop on by, comment, subscribe. Each and every Wednesday, SW Live.
What's up? Ladies. Okay. All right, y'all. We got a great show. We're going to dive into it because we're going to get through a couple of different topics. We got a panel guests on here today, and I'm just ready to have this conversation. I love my black people, so y'all know I love to talk about black anything. So let's go ahead and do it. First, we're going to bring on Clint Cunningham, and when Clint comes on, Clint is going to tell us. I want to do this at the beginning before we dive into the full conversation. But Clint is going to give us a little piece of advice to anybody that may be a newlywed, fresh couples that are thinking about marriage and all of that good stuff. He's going to drop that on us when he comes on, as he's telling us about him. All right, let's welcome Clint to the stage. What's happening, Clint?
All right, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing?
Hey, I can't complain. It's been a good day.
Good. Awesome. So, before we jump into the quote, can you tell a newlywed couple or a freshly married, remarried, people who even if they've been married, what's a piece of key advice that you live by?
You got to have patience with each other. I mean, that's the biggest thing. If you're gonna, grow old together, it's gonna have to take some patience. Patience in learning each other and working out all of the individualism in the newly wed relationship. So it's gonna take some patience, and then with that comes growth.
All right. That's good, Clint. That's very good. Thank you. Let's bring on Miss Antrine. Trine, welcome. What is a key piece of advice?
Hey, Trey, how you doing, girl?
I'm good, thank you. Hey,
Good to see you.
I know I haven't seen you in a while, but what's up, Shalisha?
What is a key piece of advice that you would give to a newlywed couple?
I think whatever expectation you've had of marriage, drop that, leave that at the door, and let your marriage be your marriage. Learn each other, get to know one another, learn yourselves, and build your marriage on what you learn about one another. Don't go in with any expectations, because that's what really destroys happiness. When you have certain expectations and then they don't get met, then you're disappointed. So if you leave those expectations at the door and just build as you grow, then I think you'll be good.
All right. That's excellent, Trine. We're going to remember to drop any expectations, okay? So that's in anything, but definitely when you're talking about your marriage. So thank you, Trine, for that. What's up? E. We're going to welcome to the stage Mr. Enigma, but, also known as Emmanuel, because that's what I call him, E-Man. What's up, E-Man?
What's good? First of all, I got to say this, class of 99, baby. Class of 99, y'all see it? I'm over here. What?
Wait,
y'all
isn't
are.
this
Y'all are.
2000 in the house, baby.
Yeah, isn't this all
Y'all all right.
2000?
Y'all all right. You know what I'm saying?
2000
What's
in the house.
99 over here? You know what I'm saying?
E, how dare you?
Okay, look, hang him up.
Definitely outnumbered today.
You are totally outnumbered, but
I was looking at him like, hold up.
Do whatever you need to do to hold it down, but you totally outnumbered.
I got a rep. You know what I'm saying? Nah, it's still South Side. Y'all know what it is.
That's right.
That's right. Would you tell the people a key? I keep saying it backwards. A key piece of advice for either newlyweds or even just people married in general.
Um, man, just understand that it's an institution. So it's beyond you. You know, you guys are building a foundation together. So in some situations, if not a lot of situations, you have to disregard what you need, or not what you need, but what you want, for the greater good of the marriage. So don't go in thinking that, it's all about me. I got to do this. I'm gonna do that. If you have that attitude, you are setting yourself up for failure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, great advice. All y'all gave some great advice. We're gonna hold on to that because I'm gonna bring that back up at some point in the conversation. So I definitely wanted to get you guys' perspective on that. So today, our before we jump in, we're gonna go ahead and do this quote really quickly. And the quote is love is a juice with many tastes, some bitter, others sweet, a wine which has few vineyards. Look at that. Read that. Look, absorb that and tell me what you think about that.
Hmm. Well, I guess
I'm gonna let
I'll
Air
start.
Training. Yeah,
Yes,
let Training low.
love is a
That's
juice
right.
with many tastes. Like what I get from that pretty much is that every marriage when you apply this quote to marriage, every marriage is different. What's your taste may not be someone else's, so what you allow in your marriage and what may be okay in your marriage may not be fine with the next, and that's fine. There isn't like a generalization when it comes to marriage. It's fine tuned to you and your partner. There are bitter moments, there's sweet moments. All of it is normal within a marriage. Like I said about those expectations, you cannot expect for everything to be all peaches and cream, daisies and sunny days. It's gonna be ups. There's gonna be downs. There's a down right now with my husband texting me in the grocery store, child.
Not even the grocery store. You already know
Look,
that's an issue.
crabs on sale, but yes, sweet, bitter, bitter, sweet, all of it. Which, look, what's the end of that? A wine which has few vineyards. Not many
Mhm.
people can walk that road. Not many people choose to, but if you do, hey, it's a fine vineyard. You know me, I'm all about marriage.
That's right. That's right. What do you all have any add-ons that y'all want to add on to that? Because that was really good. Now that was pretty much the gist.
That's hard to come behind right there. I mean,
Right.
it was a full embodiment of the quote right there, what she gave. But yeah, just it's gonna be tough times, it's gonna be good times. We can't, focus on the bad. It's gonna be good too. So I mean, I think what was the end of that quote again?
Sorry about that.
Uh,
Mhm.
A wine which has
That's
few
few
vineyards.
vineyards.
Yes.
So your vineyard is your spouse. So I mean, that's between,
Mm.
the husband and the wife, the good times and the bad times. So I mean,
Mhm.
and Trine, she put it so eloquently. I just got to give it to her on that. So that's kind of hard to come behind and add the 2 cents behind that. But yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yes, true indeed. Especially, and the reason why it was chosen is because of the simple fact of it being several different tastes. And when she said that every marriage is going to be different and everybody's going to have a different way that they move in their marriage, that like I've always said, that's that green looking over that fence is going to hurt more than you
yes.
because you're trying to think about what you see versus what is really going on. You don't know what people had to get to that peace in their marriage and what type of
Mhm.
growth and what type of stimulus that they had to go to on a regular basis just to get to this point that you're seeing where you see where oh they grass is like turf over there.
Mhm.
Mm.
Hmm.
You
Can't
know
And
it's
again,
compare. You
it
can't
might
compare,
be
sister.
It might
Yeah.
be turf. It might be artificial turf. That's the problem. You sitting there like, oh, it's pretty. It's
Exactly.
artificial turf. That's not natural grass over there.
It's
Mhm.
you don't know what's going on. Is you know
Right.
what I'm saying? You got to worry and build where you are because that's the most comfortable place. If that's where you're planning to be, why not do the work to make it the best place to be? Because who want
Right.
to come home to where it's not peace? Everybody, you know what I'm saying? When I walk in my door, I feel like so who
Hmm.
don't want that? You know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? Like, so anywho, we're gonna jump into it. I'm ready for y'all to tell me about these things because everybody, even though we may be at a comfort level in our marriages now, these certain conversations and the key components that we're going to talk about today are going to be stages of what it took to get to that
Mhm.
level because effective communication doesn't just start off from jump because you don't you still learning your person, you're still learning what makes them tick. So we're gonna let's get into it. um Successful marriages are discussed often on my show, but successful black marriages are on a different level for me. It's built on effective communication, mutual respect, shared goals, emotional support, and all those things that have to withstand challenges. And we do get to points where challenges will have us like, you know, where you feel
Child.
like you know what I'm saying? Because we,
That's
we
right.
we still beings. We still beings. So it takes some understanding and comprehension on our own parts to be able to look at our partner daily and be like, you know what? Everything about them is worth what I need to do to make this work. Everything. So let's get into it. First thing is effective communication. Now, I want to know what did you have to overcome in your relationship in an effective communication part? Like what type of issue may have aroused because arisen because of that lack of effective communication? Because the common denominator is open and honest communication is crucial. Couples should feel comfortable discussing their feelings, concerns, and any issues that arise, right? Where was there a point in your marriage or in your relationship, and how did you fix that to make it work for you all, where effective communication was overlooked, feelings were overlooked, concerns were you overlooked it, like it could have been on you or on your partner. How did you guys work through that?
Uh, for my situation, I got married really young. I got married at 21, and my wife she was 19. So it took a little while for us to learn how to effectively communicate.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, it took a while for me because I got married at 21, and then I got divorced 3 years later. But then we got remarried again 7 years later. But so I say, I think that it's easy to say, hey, let's effectively communicate and all that stuff like that. But I think a lot of that comes with time, um, and maturing individually. Um, like, I was having a hard time hearing her concerns, or she had a need, and I was still in my individualistic ways,
Mhm.
and I couldn't receive what she was putting in front of me, and that caused a lot of problems in my marriage. And so I feel like the older that I've gotten, the more in tune with her feelings and her emotions and just everything when it comes to communication. I'm more in tune with that, so I know how to receive that, and I know how to uh properly react to it. um so I think that just comes with time. I mean, it's I think it'd be really hard for a young couple to have it down packed like right when you get
Definitely.
married. So that stuff is gonna come with time.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
I should
What?
say I'm the opposite. I
Oh
got
Lord.
married. I got married hella late. I was I was 20
uh,
years later. I was 40 when I jumped over that.
oh,
Yeah, I was 40 when I jumped over that broom. Um, but by that time I had matured and understood how to listen and how to communicate. And then plus me being a Libra and her being a Gemini, like communication is just automatic. Like that's one of our connections anyway, that we know how to talk. So if one thing I learned was perhaps oversharing and learning not to overshare. Um, because honestly, my wife, shouts out to Felicia. She on the job right now. Uh, but yeah, it was like she made me so comfortable. Like she was so much my piece because I could share with her things I hadn't previously shared with anybody else. Actually, look, this music soul child, you got a song you talking about. I share things with you I never share with anybody. Like
Hmm.
that's really what it was. But
Hmm.
also having to learn not to overburden her with like everything. Um, and because for me it was such a relief and a release to be able to say, oh yeah, I experienced this or I experienced that. And sometimes it may not be necessary or maybe not the right time um to, put that on her. And so I've had to learn to kind of dial it back a bit and not necessarily, just dump everything on her because, she has her own thing. And also to allowing her the space to, express the things that she want to express. Um, and being able to take that in. And then also, and honestly, I learned this before I got married, but it's still relevant, uh, especially as a man, because we tend to want to be fixers. And I know the ladies at times they just want to get off their chest. They don't want you to solve the problem. Like they
Right.
just want to explain it. And so I've had to kind of, you know, keep that superhero complex tied down and be like, look, is she complaining about something? It ain't for me to try to come up with a solution to it. It's just give her the space to get off her chest because she probably, especially as a Gemini, I know she don't got everything wound up in her head. She is trying to lay it out. So it's just for me to sit there, be the soundboard for her to lay it out so she can figure it out. It's not for me to try to put the pieces together because she
Hmm.
gonna have that handle. So those are
right.
those are some of the things I've learned in these short 5 years that I've been part of the marriage club.
And whether you know it or not, that type of attention that you're paying to her is effective communication because that's listening, that's comprehension, and those are things that are definitely needed because some things, like you said, the oversharing may be big, but also just knowing that when enough is enough, and
Right.
Hmm.
that's because people have heavy days that they don't even talk about, and when you're so yeah, I definitely commend you on being a person who pay attention to that because a lot of times people are so used to someone being their peace and being their guide and their comfort that they don't even think about how that affects their partner, or it's a lot with that. So thank y'all for paying attention, thank y'all for being good, effective,
Let me
even if you
let me
had to grow
let
into
me
it.
ask him.
it
Let me ask him a question real fast. Do you think it was an advantage in waiting to get married until you were more mature?
Um, yes, and it go either way.
Hmm.
I'd be quick to tell somebody, look, if you find your person at a younger age, go ahead and do it.
Mhm.
Because habits are hard to break. And I think that's what a lot of people get caught up in. They think you get married, you're just gonna automatically change. And
Hmm.
no, you don't. So if you develop certain habits, it's gonna be more difficult to break those habits. And if those habits are detrimental to the marriage, then it could destroy what you're trying to build. But on the flip side, for me personally, yes, because I, as much as I wanted to be married, like I wanted to be married and I want to be a father since I was a kid. Like literally, I was in elementary school thinking of what names I want to give my kids. Like I was already there. Um, but it wasn't once I got older. I unfortunately lived vicariously through my parents and wanted to avoid the things that they went through. Um, and that caused me to have a fear of divorce more than my want of marriage.
Mm.
And because of that, that's why I couldn't settle down because I
Mm-hmm.
was so fixated on what would kill the marriage more
Hmm.
than what would help or what would a successful marriage look like. And it wasn't until honestly right before my daughter was born that I really got to a point where I was like, oh, it's this fear that I need to get rid of, as opposed to the love or the desire to want to be married. And so I tell people all the time, had I met her 5 years earlier, we probably wouldn't have got married because I didn't have that mindset that I needed
Mm-hmm.
to get married. But she met me at the right time, at the right place, and here we are. But entering, you want to say your piece in regards to Shelby's question?
Huh?
Yes,
What's
I was going. We're going round robin, and I know we didn't get to you yet, so I just want to give you your space.
no, I think you guys made some great points. I'll speak from a woman's perspective, of course, since I'm like the only woman guest on here today. But I'm pretty much like you, E. Surprisingly, I came in, and I've always been like this. I have a lot of pride, a lot of ego, and for us to develop the effective communication that we have today, I had to let a lot of that go. And you can tell when a person's ego has showed up to the conversation. And I can say that because I was that person in my relationship. I was very defensive. Every time he said something to me, I went into self-preservation mode. And that mode was I
Mhm.
want to protect how I view myself. Like he's telling me I did this. No, that's not how I see myself. I see myself as a good communicator. And a lot of women see themselves as good communicators just because they're always talking. I always tell you how I feel. I always tell you what's going on. I always tell you what I don't like. That's not effective communication. Effective communication is pretty much fine tuning your message to the person who's going to receive it. And that had to start making sense to me. Like I can't come into him. I come in heavy. I come in strong. I cannot approach my husband like that. He's very laid back. He's very humble. If I come at him the same way that I show up in court, my message is not going to get through to him. So that's something that I have to remind myself of. So I had to really humble myself and swallow that ego, swallow that pride, and just start speaking to him in a way that he could understand what was being said. And that took a while for me. I'll be honest. That took a
Oh
while.
yeah,
Oh
we
yeah.
perfect Chris all the
Whatever.
time.
Whatever. Shelby,
We
you was
perfect
there
That
in the
was
all the
really
beginning.
time.
good, Treen. That
Yeah.
was really good though. That was a different effective communication than
Hmm.
what the fella said. He had to comprehend and
Mm-hmm.
accept her and her concerns and pay attention to her concerns. He knew where he needed to follow and flow, but he had to back up with some of his over communication. You,
Mm-hmm.
however, had to learn how to tone down the aggression in how you approached your spouse in communication, because and it's a growth process because it's Tree my girl, so we have conversations about that, and I'd be like on the other end of the phone like this one for real, and they literally days apart in birthdays and stuff, so
Mm-hmm.
and their personalities are totally different. So, but she's correct. You have to know how to approach your partner, and especially when you're talking about somebody who is very receptive of who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it has to make sure that the shoe is on the other foot on a regular basis. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? All right, y'all. That was good. That was really, really good. Now, mutual respect and admiration. Of course, respect is a fundamental in marriage. You you have you have to have respect for your partner. Point blank. Period. How
Mhm.
does the relationship even work without that?
Does it?
It will not.
Mm-mm.
Partners should admire each other and appreciate their differences, which fosters a safe environment for growth and intimacy. Mutual respect and admiration. People are quick to say that they respect their spouse, they respect their partner's feelings, they respect their, but they will literally take what they said and use it against them, or take what they are
Mhm.
trying to do and hold it against them. Different things that show that there's a lack of respect in the room. Um, I think Trent, with her effective communication response, she definitely gave how this is my respect that I have to have for my partner by
Mhm.
how I approach, because that's you got to be respectful in your approach. But as far as admiration and giving your partner their flowers and letting them know what in them made you become who you are, how does that work for you all? What does that look like in your marriage?
You know, for me, we've been together a long time, and when you're with someone for a long time, you tend to uh I don't want to say stop, but you forget sometimes to give your partner their flowers. So it's just a constant reminder every day, just saying like little things, saying thank you, I appreciate you. My husband is here all day, every day. Like I had this thing where I'm like, I don't hand out participation trophies. Like you're supposed to be home. You're supposed to, look after your kids. You're supposed to go to work. You're supposed to,
Yeah.
yes. So handed me, it didn't come natural to me to be like, thank you for doing that stuff that you're supposed to do. So it's just a constant reminder for me to basically tell him to tell him, I appreciate you, because everybody does not do those things, and that is something that you should show your partner appreciation for. So I try to give him his flowers, um the small things. He knows some of the things that I'm really not big on. And my husband, he's really good. Chris, he his name is Chris. Chris, I'm like my husband, but Chris is really big on allowing me to be myself. He always leaves space for me to be exactly who I am. So if I don't say it, he reminds himself, this is my wife. I know who she is. I know what she's about. I know she loves me. But when I come to him and I'm like giving you your plates, I brought it actually to the room, your fork, your ice, water, all
Girl.
of that. He knows that that's my level of appreciation. When he comes to the house and I'm getting up from my desk, walking away from all of his children, giving him a kiss, he knows that that's my appreciation. Like he leaves space for me. He doesn't look for me
Hmm.
to be someone that I'm not, but he finds the appreciation within who I am, and that's one of the things I love best about him.
Beautiful. Okay, I'm telling you, clock that.
Look,
Good
clock
job,
it.
Trina.
I can't forget to do.
That's loving and knowing your partner. And Chris is, we're not talking about just Trina's view of it. Look how his view of it is too. I know my partner. I know my wife. I
Mm-hmm.
know what she's doing. He pay
That's right.
that's the same. It's a hand in hand thing. It's very
Girl,
reciprocal. So
it
you
it
got,
is
but you
because
got to.
all of y'all know Chris. Like I said, he is very laid back. So it is, we do the same things for each other. Like he very laid back. So if my husband comes in and he says, "Hey, I like what you have on today," I'm like, "God damn, thank you, baby," because that's big. That's big. Cause look, he just
Because both of y'all
he
have the same thing though, Trina. Y'all both have
we.
that. And just because he's not a person that shows his ego doesn't
Mhm.
mean he don't have his ego. So he has his ways of coming to you just as well as you have your ways of
Mhm.
coming to him. So
Mhm. Exactly. And we know that of each other.
Um, fellas, what's your way of giving your flowers and showing that you how you admire and love on your person?
Well, it's easy for me because my wife a superwoman. I look here. I signed up for a simple life. I thought I was gonna get married, just you know, what I'm saying, come home to my wife and kids and dog, and that was gonna be it. And then she flipped the script. Wanted to be nominated Caterer of the Year 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Want to be
Work on
nominated top 25 women you should know in Tallahassee. Um, and
Oh,
now she done signed up for Leadership Tallahassee to become part of that camp of leaders in the city.
Mhm.
So it's easy for me to brag and put her on the pedestal and say, "Hey, you are amazing," because I couldn't have imagined any of this. Not even like I said before, when I was a kid, thinking that I wanted to get married and what type of wife I would have. But even when we got married, had no expectation that we would experience the things that we experienced as far as her business, and not only her business, but her being so enterprising that she put me on. Now I have
Mhm.
a business. I wasn't no hustler at all. Now I'm out here getting it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's in part because of her. So to give her flowers is really just dumb easy. But I think because of that, I also have to remind myself to make sure to continue to feed in that because yeah, she's getting a lot, you know what I mean, from the outside world coming in. But I know at the end of the day, what's most special to her is it coming from me.
Right.
Because she loves me and vice versa. And that's what keeps her motivated. So but that also comes easy because again, I guess because the air sign energy, us being Libra, Gemini's, like, we love loving and love being in love. And so, especially me being a Libra, I'm a flirt. I'm gonna compliment you all day, every day.
Yes.
And so I can't flirt with nobody else but her. So I might as well give her all the energy. Um, so yeah, so whenever like if Trina says, she wearing something nice, I'm like, hey, but you rocking that. You know what I mean? Or even the other day, she was in here cooking, and I'm just like, oh yeah, like whoever getting that, they gonna be straight because I can smell it from here. It's good. So yeah, giving her words of affirmation, man, she just makes it super easy, and I'm open to give it to her. So yeah,
That's really dope. That's the
that's what's
maturity
up.
that comes with your
That's
marriage
what's up.
too, though. You were able to learn yourself enough to know how you supposed to dish it out. And that's probably so getting married at 40 probably is one of the best things that happened for you though, E.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Because
no,
you already said 5 years. Had you met her 5 years prior, it wouldn't have probably even worked. So, and I know that, E. So I know you're
oh
not
yeah.
lying.
If anybody knows Shelby, know I was man.
No.
Look here, I got to be careful. I'm about to say something I ain't got no
Yeah,
business
see
talking
with
about, but
the oversharing. Uh huh.
oversharing is about to
Uh
happen.
huh.
So let,
Uh
let me
huh.
shut up and pass it on to my man Clint because
Clint,
Well,
give us
This is
a
a safe
theory.
space, E. This is a safe
no, it's
space.
not. People watching. People watching. They have people looking at me
well,
crazy. Those who know.
well, for me, it took me a while to learn how to do that, to learn how to, affirm her, because we got married very young, and we had some turbulent times. I ain't gonna lie, it was very turbulent in the younger days, and now that I'm older, 43 years old, kid in college, it's just her and me. You know what I'm saying? Well, just me and her. So I mean, she really does take care of me. She really does. And for that, I daily I let her know that I appreciate, like, she cooks every day. I don't have to I come home, I got something to eat.
Mhm.
She helps me study for my exams. Like last night, she stayed over with me studying for my exam that I'm supposed to be taking tomorrow. Little things like that, that she does to keep me built up, to keep me encouraged, and I let her know. And today when I got a nice little piece of change, I said, I'm gonna bless her. And I just, and I just gave it to her, because she does so much for me. It just the little things that she does. Some stuff that will probably go overlooked.
Hmm.
Those little things I really appreciate, because it keeps me on track. It keeps me built up and affirmed in the direction that I'm trying to go in the direction I'm trying to take the family in. And you know, and it, like I said, but it took time for me to
Mhm.
know how to uh come to grips with myself to let her know that I appreciate, what
Mhm.
she does for me, because I'm a work in progress. As time goes by, the love gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's what I was saying in my opening statement, the patience part, patience with that she's had for me, you know, and you know, and still sticking through with me, after all these years. So I really appreciate her and what she brings to the table. We're a better couple because of it.
Hmm.
And
That's great.
that's my story.
I love to hear that because my aunt
Yep.
told me something very similar to that because she got married. They got married young. She was 19, her husband was 20. They're still
Hmm.
married. They're in their 60s now. So, and they all like the younger marriages are going to be some of the marriages that are going to they stand the test of time
Hmm.
because you're going through growing pains, you're going through growing stages, you're doing and talking about things that you never even thought you would experience, let alone live it with someone else. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different that concept alone of where I'm learning you while you're learning me and I'm learning me while I'm learning you as well. It's a that whole process is
Mhm.
so beautiful if you let it flow, if
Right.
you let it go,
That's right.
if you're willing to take that risk, you'll never have those questions on whether or not this is really my person
Mhm.
because you've seen what this person is to you. Y'all had to witness the turmoil. You had to witness getting through the turmoil. It was different things that a lot of people would have just said, I don't know what to do. I'm just gonna leave.
Right.
Mhm.
That's so
You
easy
know,
to do too.
and
Right.
it is, but people don't realize that the more you work at it is the more healthier you guys become.
Mhm.
All
Hmm.
that toxicity fades off. It disappears because you're
It
taking the
does.
time to actually learn
Hmm.
and love, learn and
Mhm.
love, learn and love. Now ain't nobody telling you to stand nothing where you over there getting your ass beat.
Yeah.
But
We
a
know
lot of
that.
people,
Oh, good.
a lot of people don't have the patience for that though.
Mhm.
They go through hard times and they're like, you know what? I made a mistake. I'm out, and then next thing
Because
you
Right.
know, and that's why the divorce rate is so high because people don't know how to work it out.
and they
And
don't have the right people in their ear
Hmm.
exactly,
sometimes too. Because
exactly.
a lot of
They
when
got a
you're
yes man in their ear.
exactly. When you were
Hmm.
talking about younger marriages, you need to have the right people in your ear. As a young
Right.
person, you're easily influenced with things. You're easily like you can just see something over here and that's the time when you really looking at the grass being greener on the other side.
Mhm.
Because you're younger and you're thinking like, I'm young, I ain't gotta go through this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with this. I can have a better this, a better that.
Mhm.
But
Not
I think
realizing
the older
go
you
ahead.
get, the more you appreciate those vows that you said
Yes.
when you
Hmm.
got married. Because when you're young, it really don't mean nothing, because just like a girlfriend, it's if you ain't getting along with it, then shoot, I'm out, I can get it annulled or get a divorce and I just go on to the next person, you know. But when you spend a whole bunch of time with somebody and build a life,
Right.
the chances of that happening go down. That still happens, but it goes down because you start to really know how to communicate, how to love this person
Mhm.
for the long term, and that's what you got to keep on thinking long term. You can't think short money, you got to think long money.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah. I agree with all of that. Like it goes back to what I said about having the expectation. Everybody goes in and they have this expectation of
Mm-hmm.
perfection. Like
Mm-hmm.
Chris and I spent a long time building a foundation, and some of y'all were there for that building. It was nasty, it was ugly, it was pretty, it was beautiful, it was all of that. And by the
It
time
was
we decided
perfect.
to get married, I mean, I don't want to jinx ourselves, but there's really nothing that could come up, and we're just like we're done with one another because we both know that we are in this. We know conflict resolution very well, and we know how to resolve it. Should take your
Mm-hmm.
ass over there in the other room, do what you need to do, come back
Yeah,
like
but
you
you work
know
it
how.
out though.
Yeah, we're going to work it out. We have three girls that are looking at us, and we took our vows, we took our commitment, we took the marriage. We take it seriously. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't do today. They think that they can just exit it and go start fresh with someone else, but they end up taking those same issues, those same problems with a new person. So
That's
just
right.
learn conflict resolution and just stick it out with your person. You made the commitment, you married each other for a reason. Like stick to it.
Right. And oddly enough, for me, what made marriage bearable, not even, I won't say bearable, but made it more of an option is actually the option of divorce. Because, like I said before, I was actually afraid of it. And so I was trying to do
Mm-hmm.
all of the things to, avoid it. But knowing that, okay, I can leave when I want to, but maybe that tells me that I have that agency.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm in it because I'm in it and I choose to be in it. And so therefore I need to do the things I need to do to make this work as opposed to just allowing circumstances to determine how I feel or how I act. It's like, no, I have the agency to do this. And
Yeah.
then she also had the agency. And so it's for us to come together and make this work.
That's
Um,
right.
because yeah, I can go out if I want to. I can leave if I want to, but is that what I want? Is that the best option? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, 99% of the time, it's not. It's better just to sit here and work that thing out
That's
because,
right.
like Dream said, like both of y'all said, like we trying to build something or we
Mm-hmm.
have built something.
You're investing in
And
each other. Yep.
exactly. And it's like I wouldn't want to do this with anybody else. Um, and honestly, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I had the capability. I already said, look at this
Man,
one and done, bruh.
one and done.
Like, no, after
A lot of
this,
work.
because I was done before it even started. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's what made it happen. I was done. I'm like, you know what? About to be the best baby daddy. Uh,
It's a lot of work.
Listen,
I'm gonna go in
listen.
here,
You know what?
focus on.
It's funny because just listening to you and your commentary, I'm like the opposite of you. You had to know that there was an out to get in it, and I had to tell myself that there is no out because I mean,
Mm,
not that there's a stigma for married. I'm sorry for being raised by a single mother. I was raised by a single mother, and I always say that there's a blessing and a curse in that because I know that I can do this by myself. I watch my mama do it. And then the
right,
blessing is I
right,
don't want to do it because I watch my mama do it. So I had to tell myself there is no out, whereas you had to tell yourself there is an out. So
right.
it differs for everybody.
Yep,
Yeah,
it
and,
does.
and,
Definitely.
and for me, I've been through a divorce, and divorce
Mm-hmm.
is terrible. It
Oof.
is nasty work. And the
Irrational.
good thing is I was, after a period of 7 years of being apart, we were able to come back and
Mm-hmm.
bring the family
Mature.
back together. Yes, but it's all about maturity,
Mm-hmm.
and taking things seriously, especially when you're young.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
sometimes in lack of appreciation and lack of understanding and lack of um realizing that what the marriage was when you came in, because when we said from the beginning the expectations. So
Hmm.
coming into a marriage thinking that this marriage could just be the easiest thing in the world to do as long as we just have love. That is one of the
Take
most
more than that.
false fables
right,
Hmm.
ever, because you can love someone from a distance if
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about just love.
right.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about building foundation, constant growth, shared goals and values, that has to be with a person. And it has to be where you guys have the same inclinations in mind. You cannot come in with 30 different inclinations and they got 30 different inclinations and y'all trying to force fit something like that. And it's not going to work. So you have to be able to be receptive. And that reception is going to either allow you to be like, this is okay for me, and we're not, don't do it after you get married to be able to say, is
Right.
this okay? Have those hard conversations, have those tough talks, because when you get into the marriage, it's all about making sure it stays good
Mm-hmm.
and working towards something bigger than y'all just individuals. But when you're going into a deeper relationship and a deeper connection, that's when you got to have those real conversations. You got to have those real talks. And a lot of those times we do not do that. Y'all know
Mm-hmm.
what
Right.
people be doing when they dating now? They just, they all over the place. This it's not really, unless you're an older person, and even a lot of older people now have gotten into the mindset of, I just, I don't even care. We can just do this. Just
Mm-hmm.
just getting to that settling stage because they realize it's a lot of people who don't take relationships serious anymore, but it's
Mm.
just as many people who do. So my next segment, question, issue, topic is the ability to compromise. Ooh. Love
A
is
whole
compromise.
bunch of that going on. Yeah.
You gotta have a you. It's big. So disagreements are natural. I don't want anybody who's walking into a new marriage, don't ever think disagreements are not natural.
Right.
But successful couples learn how to navigate conflicts through compromise and understanding. This flexibility allows both partners to find solutions that work for them. Let's talk about a compromising situation that you've had to either, that you wanted, that you were the person that was causing the compromise, the having to accept the compromise.
So for
Let's
me,
let's dig
for
deep on that.
for me,
Let's go.
it was whether or not to homeschool our daughter, because I felt like at that time, uh, it was she wasn't going to be developing like socially, and I was like totally against it. And my wife, she was firm on it, and she's like, "No, I'm gonna homeschool." So of course, that meant a lifestyle change. So she had to stay home, and do that. And I had to, bring home the bacon. And I we were at odds for a while about that. So I finally, just to keep peace in my house, I was like, you know what? I ain't got nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And and she homeschooled our daughter from the first grade all the way up through high school. And looking back, you know, I think that was, me just letting it go was not. I, I guess that was a compromise, because I was like, you know what, I'm not gonna fight about it. If you feel like that's what you want to do, then we can do it. But looking back, that was the best situation that could have happened for our daughter, because she's excelling very well up in Atlanta, where she's at in college, because of the work in the one-on-one education that her mom
Mhm.
gave her, teaching her how to be a woman and stuff like that. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that. But looking back, I'm glad that I was able to just let it go, and she took the reins, and I give her flowers for it. It was the best thing for our situation.
In the compromise, because this is where I want to find out if there was a compromise. Um, did When you said you let it go and you stepped back, did you have involvement in her homeschooling? Did you put in time with it just as well to keep the situation whole?
Yes, yes. I mean, I
That's
couldn't put
compromise.
I couldn't put in as much as she did because she was home. I
Right,
wasn't.
right.
But yes, definitely. Yeah.
That's compromising though, because that's because if you just would have been like, you know what, if you want to do it, I'm just gonna step back and take no involvement, and I don't want to be a part of it because it's not my decision, and blah 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 blah. Then that to me is definitely not compromising. That's you throwing in the towel and saying that because you want it this way, I won't be a part of it.
Mhm.
Right. And but it took me a while to, to realize, what was happening there because, initially I threw my hands up. I was like, I'm done. But then when I started seeing how much she was excelling, then I'm starting to, go ahead and interject my 2 cents and my input in the overall upbringing that my wife wanted for our daughter being
That's good.
homeschooled. Hmm.
Mhm. Good job,
So
Queen.
y'all tell so Treen, what y'all had to compromise on?
The first biggest compromise that Chris and I had to make is when I left Tallahassee. We had a baby before we actually got married. We did long distance for like 5 or 6 years. I was in Tallahassee. He was in Fort Lauderdale, 7 hours away. But of course, things changed after I had the baby, and just I would say my pride had a lot to do with the relocation because I had a lot of people in my ear. Keep people out your marriage. But I had
Hmm.
a lot of people in my ear just saying, he's the man. He's supposed to come back. He's supposed to come for you. He's supposed to join his family. Like the advice was he needed to move back from Fort Lauderdale to Tallahassee. And when I stopped accepting the advice from other people and I decided to just do what was best for me. And it was a compromise for me because I was leaving my support system. I was leaving my family. I was leaving my friends. I was leaving my comfort. And I was moving to a whole new city where I didn't know anybody except for him. So that was the biggest compromise, the first biggest compromise that we made in the relationship, and you've seen the growth in us since that move, and it was the best decision for me. It was the best decision for our family.
I was gonna say, Treen, like you wouldn't have if you would have been in Tallahassee, you still would have been in. You still probably would have been okay, but
Girl, I was broke. I wouldn't have been
listen,
okay.
I don't want listen. That's why
I
I
wouldn't
said
have been okay.
okay, but and I'm not talking about in Tallahassee without him. I'm saying if it would have been even if he would have came back, it just would have been okay
Hmm.
because
I,
that wasn't for you. You the excelling alone has been
hmm.
oh my goodness, like
Yeah.
it's just from 2 years ago, even like this, it just shows that every year there's consistency in you all's relationship.
Hmm.
And like, you know what I'm saying? And for me, having a little bit of access into it, because that's one thing that I have admired about how she has kept her marriage is that even if it took her a while to get there, it's still at this point, Treen ain't you what Treen wants you to know, Treen will tell you. That's it. You will not knock on her window and she just throw out a whole little line and say, "Come on in, let me let you in and tell you what's going on, girl." No,
Mm-mm.
it
Who
don't work like
you?
that.
Why you knocking? Where you come from? What you got in your
it just
pocket?
it don't work like that. And it's and you guys may see like this strong, funny Treen because that's who Treen is. That's her personality. But also, she still has these other traits that she had to learn how to accept of herself. Like she had to learn how to accept emotion being displayed. Treen too tough to show emotion. It's things that she had to put to the side, and her
Wait
submission
a
didn't
minute
just
now.
come. Her submission did not just come
It
overnight.
didn't come easily. It did not come easily.
So and like she said in the beginning though, communication, women think they know how to communicate just because they are talking. That means absolutely nothing. Sometimes y'all talk too much and you talking so much till you don't understand what's actually being said. And she was one of those people. So I'm so happy to see this person, y'all. Like seriously, and all of y'all. And I wouldn't have never known, Clint, you have been married for 20 something years though. Like I'm not gonna count the divorce years. Um, I kind of
Yeah,
looked over that when you said it because y'all, it's not like y'all were separated. Y'all still were co-parenting. Y'all still had to have your contact, your communication, so all things were going on while you're trying to rebuild. But
right.
you, out of everyone on the panel, you've been the one that has been in the longest relationship.
Hmm.
And that's why when I was saying you, it takes real connections to stay in a marriage for that long and not think that there are going to be disruptions, not think that there are going to be issues, and to know that you guys are still like holding on, keeping it going, doing whatever it takes. I don't care if it's the small steps, the baby steps. We have to be more, we have to display more of the goodness in those marriages so people can understand that marriage is not just easy, but it's worth it. And this conversation today is reminding me of how much it is worth it. And like one of the comments said, um, I'm enjoying the stories, I'm enjoying hearing the growth. And that to me is a benefit. That's a young person that said that. So that's a benefit to know that you guys are just, your conversation is giving someone else initial hope. So okay, I just had to give y'all flowers real quick. Um, Emotional and physical intimacy. Emotional and physical intimacy. Where y'all at with that? Trey, did you freeze? Oh, there you go. Where are you at with
I did.
emotional and physical intimacy?
Emotional and what intimacy?
And
Physical
physical.
intimacy. And
Oh,
where how important is that in your relationship?
very. It's very
It's
important.
very, very important. Definitely.
Not, and I say very because it's very, very, very important to him. But yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, what he wants, he gets. That man turn me every which way but loose, and I ain't. And look, I can see his feet under the damn door right now. I can see his feet under the door right now. But yeah, we keep it fresh.
That's how it's
Yeah,
supposed to
on
be,
my
though.
We
That's how
nerves,
it's
I
supposed
swear
to
to
be.
God.
look, I'm just gonna be quiet because I was just about to say something. I don't care, but nah. Hold on, I'm about to open the door for him because he texted me to let him in. Hold on.
Go ahead, Tree. Go ahead.
Chris
How
said
important is it for you guys, Phil?
Chris said she was saying too much. That's what it was. Chris like, come over this way. You talking too much.
Lady
Right.
For me,
Lester.
for me, it's very important. I mean, I like that connection. I like having a connection with my wife. I mean, that's the benefit of being married.
Right.
That physical connection, that emotional connection, and the spiritual connection. That's a connection that you won't have with anybody else
Yeah.
on that level. So I feel like for me, anytime I get a chance to connect with my wife, I mean that my day is made. It makes my day. I can be having a bad day, and after that, I'm good. You know. So one of the benefits,
I
one of the
know that's
benefits
right.
of being married. I
I
ain't got
know
no other
that's
way,
right.
no other way to
Clint
put it.
said
I
that.
mean,
Clint said sorry, his bad days
hey,
good. You heard the
and hey, and we empty nesters too.
Oh yeah, oh
So
yeah.
hey, it's on.
I'm gonna go. This comment right there makes sense for Clinton right now.
Oh
They
my
got that
god.
emptiness. Ain't
Yeah,
no what
man, empty nest, baby.
ain't no but space and opportunity.
That's
That's it.
right. That's right. I'm telling you.
Now,
Okay.
actually, oddly enough, kind of going back to the age thing, um, it's actually I have to be more intentional. Just look here. I blowing backs out. Look here. I mean, did I asthma pump? I think I saw something the other day. No, it wasn't. Somebody told me the other day. He was like,
Oh my
"Yo, I got a CPAP. I put the CPAP
Oh
machine
my
on
God,
while I'm doing it." I'm like, "What? You keep that air going. Keep that air going, because you may not be able to."
You hooked up to the oxygen, bro?
Gotta ah ah
Oh
Jesus,
my
like
God.
Jesus.
so
And y'all
so
have small
yeah.
kids too, E, right?
Huh?
Y'all have small kids too, right? A small child.
Yeah, but the benefit is, well, not that's not a benefit because I actually hate it. But yeah, but unfortunately,
You hate
um,
what?
that my daughter isn't here full time.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
okay.
You said,
Oh.
oh,
So like I was teasing Felicia the other day. I was like, we live like some dinks hat part time. She's like, "What's a dink?" I'm like, "You never heard of a dink before?" She was like, "No, what's that?"
Yeah, what
Like
is?
double income, no kids. Like so
I
Oh.
never heard of that.
I never heard
yeah.
of it either.
So
Me either.
so if y'all ever watched the cartoon,
Yeah.
his
Mm-hmm.
next door neighbor name was
Yeah.
Mr. Dink.
Mr.
Yeah.
Dick,
Yes.
I
yeah.
didn't know that
And
till
it
I watched
Oh,
was,
the
now that
show.
makes sense.
yeah,
That
and it was
makes sense.
because they were a married couple with no kids. So double income, no kids.
Wow.
Ah.
Uh, but so granted, we got opportunity. We got opportunity.
But
It's there.
you're saying you have to be more intentional, meaning that you
Right.
be tired.
Exactly. You know
Oh,
what I
you gotta
mean?
wake up.
I know. Cause look here. Like, I know I got a
Put
catch.
I don't care
put
if I was dog tired.
the
I'm
little
You
ready.
know what I
wet
mean?
machine next to the bed.
I gotta get up
Yeah.
and walk away because y'all stupid.
but that's what it is. It's like I have to, and people assume that because oh, it's the guy that's gonna whatever. But my wife entering her prime age, where women at this age,
Yeah.
I'm trying to get it, and I'm kind of like, yeah,
That's
I
how I
ain't
feel. I'm in
25
my
no more.
prime right now.
You know what I mean? So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, I got to make sure, like, look here, I got to make sure she's straight, because if not, like I said, this is a lot of YNs out here who ain't got a problem.
You better believe it. You
And
better
not saying
believe
she
it.
will, but I got to make sure I can deliver. And so yeah, I have to, not emotionally. That's that ain't nothing. You know what I mean? We talk, we communicate, and we do a lot of the physical stuff as far as like touching and kisses on the foreheads and all that stuff. Like, yeah, that's all day, every day. But yeah, when we get down to serving the meat, like I, I gotta be like, all right, let me get ready to work this thing on that.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to stretch this out a little bit. So I can stretch it out a little bit. So, but yeah, I gotta learn to be intentional. Or I have learned. Let me take that back. I've had to learn. What I'm saying, be more intentional in that. Do the things. And also too, being more and being intentional, like the intimacy. So just not like, all right, turn over.
Oh yeah.
Just turn over and like, nah, like do all of the things
Yeah.
to
Have
make
Get them
her,
worked up.
yeah, to get there. Even if I know that she ready, like make sure I do still do the things or whatever, so she'll understand that this is special for us, because it is part of building that relationship. Because hey, a lot of times for fellas, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but a lot of times when she acting kind of edgy, she acting kind of mean, probably one or two things. H and H. She either hungry or horny. So you
mm-hmm.
might as well just go ahead and you want
And
some of
you'll
this?
never, and there's no need to ever really let a person get horny. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like,
right,
it's just keep your connection out on a constant. That way, you
right,
don't have to even worry about the whole backup situation where somebody
right,
getting backed up. Because
right,
getting backed up in a marriage is not healthy.
right,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
right,
You know,
Definitely.
being
It's
in
not healthy in no relationships, but definitely not a marriage.
right.
definitely not a marriage, and that is one of the biggest complaints that I see about marriages from the men's side. that they're not getting the physical intimacy as much as they would like. And I host a really big marriage group, and I'm in a lot of marriage groups, and I look at the commentary on that. And, I really try to explain to men, we don't seem to be having that problem here, but a lot of people are not understanding, if you are not getting the sexual intimacy that you want in your marriage, that's a symptom of something else. So you guys need to
Mm-hmm.
start looking at what's going on in your marriage. And it could be something as small as she's tired or overworked or worried about something, or it could be something deeper, like you're ignoring her emotional needs. But it requires exploration. You can't just complain and say, hey, since we got married, I don't have sex anymore. You have to start thinking about the things that you stopped doing since you got married. What changed, especially if she was never like
Mm-hmm.
that before. So
Right.
there are things like, I don't want to say too much, but every time, we have 3 children, every time I had a new baby, mm-mm, what intimacy? I got a new baby to take care of. My mind is here, there, and everywhere, and he just walking around with a nasty attitude. I know what the problem is. I know what the problem is, but I'm like, hey, what can I do about that right about now? So, I mean, if you know your partner, you know how to solve that.
Right.
But you also have to do some exploration, because it could be some underlying issues that might be preventing that physical intimacy with your partner, not just the day-to-day happenings.
Hmm.
That's right. You don't, especially if they just completely start clamming up, you know. There's definitely some underlying issues. Having a baby is a whole different life changing effect. So that's something different on your body. You got to mentally prepare yourself for different things happening while you haven't when you're freshly just delivered and had a kid. So I can understand that. I listen, I don't think I even had attraction after having a baby. I didn't even want to be touched, looked at the wrong way. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want to be talked to. Like, I'm busy. My mind is
Busy.
claustrophobic
And the
with a
hormones,
baby,
the hormones
hormones,
itself, yeah.
everything. So that's
That's
definitely
understandable though.
that's understandable.
Hmm.
But when you're talking about just completely shutting down, or you're leaning towards shutting down, there is more than likely a deeper issue.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where you go back to that effective communication, learning your partner, knowing what's happening, paying attention. It could be deep rooted situations, and you want to know. You don't ever want to just let your person just go wondering what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. Go ahead and give them that. Open up the floor for that conversation. Um, So I'm glad to hear that we got good emotional and physical intimacy. And with our panel, that because we don't need our people around here giving their indigestion to somebody else, because they backed up and y'all now they out here being nasty to the world and held up a liquor store, anything. It's just we want to keep it cool. Um, but my last thing that I wanted to ask you all was trust and forgiveness. This is huge because we have marriages where people have babies outside of the marriage. People trust and forgive. We have marriages where people step outside of the marriage and there's trust and forgive. We have where there's money loaned outside of just things that are just indicative to what you should be doing with your marriage without communicating, and
Mm-hmm.
it brings on different issues of trust, and then now you have to work through the trust, rebuilding trust, and getting to a level of forgiveness. Is there something that has ever happened in your marriage that you had to work on or rebuild your trust for your partner?
Definitely, definitely. I mean, if you're in a marriage, it's something big is bound to come up that you're gonna have to either regain some trust on, or just learn how to trust all over again on. So, I've done some things that I've had to, reflect on and ask my wife for forgiveness. in my marriage. That's things I'm not proud of, things that I should have known better um, while I was doing it. And but good times come, bad times come, and for better or worse, that's what it is. And I've had to come, on my knees and ask for forgiveness, not only from my wife, but from God too. So I'm not above reproach.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a perfect man. I strive to be a perfect man, but I'm not a perfect man, and I have my quirks and my kinks that that I'm working out daily. And so I'm not too proud to say, hey, I've messed up, and yes, I've had to rebuild a time period that I've had to go through rebuilding trust with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
But we're still here, and we're still doing it, and it's good.
I like that. I like that, and I love that you're not above reproach.
Mm-mm.
Yes. Treen, y'all got
Look
anything to
here.
add to that conversation?
Look, um, I mean, the main thing is understanding that we are human, and as much as you're gonna be asked to forgive, um, because you're gonna be asked for forgiveness. It's a two-way street.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, 2021. I mean, we want a year into the marriage. I tell people this. One thing I had to learn is with marriage. I think it was already mentioned. Like a lot of stuff is not expected, like or you got to expect the unexpected. Um, and what I had to learn that first year was you can marry somebody who you figure understand you so much that if there's a line that you have set, that they'll never cross that line,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
right? And you marry them thinking like they'll never cross that line. First of all, I won't allow nobody to cross that line, but this the person that loves me the most in the world. I know they won't cross that line, so I ain't got to worry about it. And not even a year in, that person, not only do they tiptoe over that line, they go way over the line. Like, and
Backflipping
then
over
look
that
at you
line.
like, what you gonna do? And you
Mm.
like, uh, you did that? You you really did that? And that's what happened. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, bruh, divorce is an option, ain't it? It is because she did what? But a year later, and I had to kind of like what Clint said, like I had to realize it's bigger than me. It's big and it's about the institution. So it's like, you know what? Yeah, it's a line I set for myself, but does it harm the marriage? And the answer was no. But it came back around that following year because we had set up, or she had set up, honestly, a trip to the Dominican Republic for her birthday. And the night before, my dumb ass lost my passport.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you do
So
that, E?
I don't know to this day, but we ripped the house apart and I could not find my passport. So we ended up having to cancel that trip, lost most, if not all, of the money, and had to settle
Mm.
to go to Tampa, of all places.
I would have went by
Mm.
myself.
Dominican Republic,
She's talking
Tampa,
about she would have
Florida.
went by herself.
Bruh, low key, I think I told her. I was like, look here, just go find, get your sister. She may have a passport. Y'all go or take your mama, something, because I can't fathom you losing this. You know what I mean? So going back to what had happened the year prior, it was like
You got
that's
home.
small potatoes. You know what I mean? And honestly, the guilt I felt was so heavy that I wouldn't want to like physically like cheat on her because that hurt. That hurt so bad to have to disappoint her that much. And honestly, she was like, "It's okay, babe. As long as I'm with you, that's all that matters." And it was like, "Is this woman a
Oh,
saint?"
Okay,
Is this
oh.
because just a year ago I was contemplating. A year ago I was contemplating. It wasn't even half as serious as me losing my passport. So yeah, and then the following year a similar situation happened. Um,
But do you know
and
that disappointment is bigger than cheating anyway? Like, it's
right,
not always cheating.
it's not cheating. Is
Sometimes for
all
some people, it's not. It's that could be minute for someone.
right,
It's what
right,
it's other things that
Mm-hmm.
surround the cheating situation,
right,
or it's things where you're hurting her, or she's hurting you in ways that y'all can't come back from.
right,
That kind of like that's bigger than cheating. So a
Yeah.
lot
right,
of times
Hmm.
you don't really. That's why trust and forgiveness is a huge thing because you can. It's not always about cheating.
Yeah.
right.
A lot of people don't get that, Shelby, because
Yep.
that's how I
It's
am.
not
Not to say that cheating is okay, because that is one of the
No,
deal breakers. But cheating is just not. They treat it like it's the boogeyman, and I'm just like,
right.
no,
that shit is small potatoes to me. Like, the things that will bother me more about cheating is like, oh, you had this bitch in my house.
Right.
Oh, you had
Right.
this
yes,
bitch around my
yes,
kids. Oh, I was
Yep.
calling you and you sent me to a voicemail. Like, that's the type of thing
because
that will bother me, not
now
the
you're
physical
making me
cheating.
feel that
Yeah.
person has somewhat importance.
Mm-hmm.
They have a place in your life now
Mm-hmm.
that is different from the fact that you just went out and banged them.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Hmm.
talking
Right.
about feelings.
Mm-hmm.
You talking about it's just a whole different level. I think that people really small potato trust and forgiveness in a relationship, and they minimize it down to something like cheating because they feel like, oh, cheating, cheating, cheating.
Yeah.
You mentally can be messed up just from other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right.
That's what I want
Right.
people to,
Yeah.
That's why that those two words are very big in your marriage. It's huge.
And that's
Trey,
why
go ahead.
that
I'm
situation
sorry.
had me messed up. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, ain't no way. Like, ain't no way I would let this happen. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I allowed it to happen. Um, the crazy thing was why I found that motherfucker goddamn 6 months ago in this
Where was
most
it?
random place.
In the
I was like,
closet?
Where
bruh,
was it? Where
in
was
a
it?
Talking about
box in the closet, plain as day. It was right there.
And that look at Trey like
Dang.
got a box here.
Oh my
goodness
man.
gracious.
So
Goodness
yeah,
gracious.
forgiveness is a two-way street. Just understand it's a two-way street. And so yeah, sometimes you have to, swallow your pride. Not for their sake, for your
For
sake, because
yours
your
sake.
time gonna come.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
True.
Trey,
Absolutely.
do you have an example of trust and forgiveness in your relationship? Or did they kind of like cover the basis of that?
They did cover the bases. A lot of the big trust and forgive, that whole give and take, we worked out long before the marriage. But within the marriage, like those day-to-day things, like you said, the disappointment. And I can give an example of something that I did that I had to earn his forgiveness back from. It's just like, trusting you with information and then not necessarily throwing it back up in his face, but bringing it up in a conversation where it shouldn't have been brought up, and him losing that type of trust to be open and vulnerable with me. And then you say this in this context. So once, I realized that that was something that I did and something that I had said, then you have to really humble yourself, ask for the forgiveness, and spend the time rebuilding that so that he feels safe enough to even open up and share that type of information with you again, because I did fuck that up. So I had
Mhm.
to fix it. And that is, like I said in the beginning, I have a lot of pride, a lot of ego, that whole humility, just having to basically submit to that and apologize and say I'm sorry and earn that trust back. And you never know when that trust is going to get going to be
Right.
given back to you. You have to be consistently present and consistently available and consistent with that information until, and then one day you find yourself back in the good graces again. Oh, he telling me this. Okay, we must be good then. So, so it's just
But
those.
that's a good feeling though.
Yeah.
That's a getting something back that you lost within your person. That's an excellent
Mm-hmm.
feeling. And it's a benefit to you both because you over there feeling like relieved, and he's also feeling relieved that he can
Mm-hmm.
actually start pouring back into you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
Forgiveness is huge.
Exactly. And you know how us women are. We think we are the gurus in relationships. Like I'm not gonna make them. That was me. I'm not gonna make a mistake. You don't have to worry about me doing this. You don't have to worry about me doing that. So when I did something that really hurt him, like he said, that really hurt me. And I'm just like, okay, I don't even know where to begin to earn this type of trust back because I've never done anything like this before. So it does take a type of submission. It does take a lot of humility to go to someone and say, hey, what can I do? What the hell is he laughing at? You have to you what?
Y'all classmate hit me up in Messenger. What's up?
Okay, okay. I'm like, look, it ain't Chris, is
Right. Nah, nah.
Mhm.
it?
That's good though. That's very good. That's powerful too.
Mhm.
Having those things happen in your relationship, rebuilding anything in
Mhm.
your relationship is top tier.
Yeah.
And again, because like I said, people tend to shun it out at like it never happened. And then when you do that, you tend not to grow. Because now you're in a position to where every time it happens, you're ignoring the fact that you keep doing this,
Mhm.
and that you're hurting your person each time. And they're telling you, but you're not seeing it because, like Trine said at the beginning, the pride is there. And when she gave the example of, no, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. That's not me. And but you're constantly trying to tell me that's me, and I'm telling you it's not me. But
Mhm.
they feel and see that that is who you are being.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But you constantly, because you're ignoring their concern, that you're now building a wall in between
Mhm.
you all,
Yeah.
Yep.
and trying to break down that wall and that barrier is one of the hardest things to have to do. So listening to them from jump is going to be a whole lot easier.
Mhm.
It's just a whole lot easier.
You know what, Shelby, and I say this a lot on my page. Any type of psychology class will benefit anybody because everything the tools that I've learned in my marriage are things that I learned in a lot of my psychology and sociology classes. Like when I speak of self-preservation, it's pretty much how I see myself, and that's something that everybody has that. So when someone comes to you and they're telling you something that contradicts how you see yourself,
Mhm.
it's
Mhm.
very natural for you to
Yeah,
defend yourself
Yes.
against that.
Yes.
You're not open, you're not receptive to what they're saying, but you have to understand how you see yourself and how you're perceived by other people are totally different. So you have
Yes.
to keep that
yeah.
open mind and
Um,
shit, that's real.
yeah.
That's real.
Like honestly, I
That's
did that. That if it's again, I guess benefit of waiting as long as I did.
Mm-hmm.
Was that like especially in my mid 30s, like I did a lot of reading, especially like Trina said, like psychiatry psychiatry books or psychiatry books, things of that sort, self-help, what I mean,
Mm-hmm.
just being able to have that self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Then that's been very important. And also too, many nights where I just had time to myself, like just quiet, no TV, no
Yeah.
phone. I just really sat in darkness. And even now I have to remind myself because that was also a lonely time. And that was a time when I was yearning for the life that I have now.
Mm-hmm.
And I used that to be more to be appreciative of what I have. Because there was a time where it was just me. And it wasn't no freedom in that. You know what I mean? Like I was afraid. Like I was scared. Like I'm gonna be in this apartment by myself. This is gonna be my tomb. Like I'm just gonna be gone. Ain't nobody gonna know because I haven't built anything with
Mm-hmm.
anybody. So
Mm-hmm.
now that I'm in this position that I have a partner and to have a child and we're doing all of the things, like I can appreciate it now because I've taken that time to be aware of myself, to center myself. And so yeah, a lot of times when things do arise, like I'm not as jilted because I've took the time to center myself within myself, so I can kind of handle those things a little bit better. Um, because I'm not because I have that self awareness, and like Trini said, you have to not only understand yourself, but then understand how people see you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you get a clearer picture of what's happening in the situation, and you can be more effective in trying to deal with anything that comes your way and your partner's way, and how y'all can navigate through that. And sometimes it just takes time. Take that frontal lobe to connect, and be like, oh, this is what life
Mm-hmm.
is about. You know what I mean? It's just not about party and bullshit. I need to figure this thing out.
Mm-hmm.
So
At a
yeah,
stage, it could have been about party and bullshit though. You
yeah,
got your stages in life.
yeah.
You don't you can't just come out on top on from the beginning all the time. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Certain
right.
times you got to learn life and see what it is anyway.
Right.
Um,
That's right.
you guys made some very key points though. I think that anybody that's in a marriage that has been married, anything, they can take away a lot of goodness from this conversation, and also being able to understand yourself before you say I do.
Yep.
Just having some quality understanding of who you are before you even just jump into it and jump the broom and just be like, because it's going. You already got to put in the work in your marriage. You at least, yes, yeah, it's dead. Sorry, y'all. Get the charger in there though. Sorry. But having that peace of mind, having that self preservation isn't a bad thing. Um, because you don't want to go in, like I said, you have to know who you are, so you can't go into your marriage just completely unaware of what pushes your buttons, what makes you jump, what makes you jilt, what I'm saying? You got to have some knowledge of self with that. And I hear it in every last one of you all's voice. What advice would you give couples working up to marriage? That was at the beginning of the conversation, so you're gonna have to start the show over. No, I'm about to actually recap what their advice was actually. Because the closeout question and their closeout message is going to be totally different from your question. So as a recap, she talking about damn, but
Damn.
as a recap though of what they actually um talked about with the key advice to a newlywed couple, someone that's thinking about getting married, or even someone that's deep into their marriage that's not having good benefits of their marriage. They one of Clint gave the explanation of patience and why that is so important, and the reason how him and his wife survived their marriage because of the simple fact that they had to learn patience for each other. Um, Treen said, drop any expectations. Whatever thoughts you have about marriage, whatever things, any concept of what you think a marriage should be, drop it before you even cross. Just say I do.
Mhm.
Just don't do it. Don't put yourself in the mindset, because everybody knows that expectations are broken. Expectations can be swallowed up and spit out, and people play on your intelligence when you put out what your expectations are anyway. People
Mm.
will go into a relationship or a marriage benefiting off of what you told them that you love, and they don't got none of that in them, but they're going to utilize what you said just as a way.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And then he said, remember that you are building an institution and it's beyond you now. It's about us. And those are really good key advices and key pieces to how your marriage can be sustained and also what you can do to make sure that your marriage is holding on with love, communication, commitment, and respect, because and trust,
Trust.
because those are things that you have to have in your marriage. But for our closeout um, question, where and we're gonna start. I'm gonna let you, I don't know, I can't even say where we're gonna start with the answering of this question. I'm gonna see who just jump in and bite and take
Child.
the where do you think you would even be without your successful black marriage?
Where
Single and lonely.
Ooh, look at that's what I wanted to hear. I needed to hear complete silence right now with that.
wait.
Mm.
You
Look
said
out! No, wait, Trey, don't do it. Don't do it.
no, I didn't hear
No,
it. It
go,
went
go, 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 go,
my
go.
connection went out. Where would we be without it? You said?
Yes. Where would you be without your successful black marriage? Where do you think you would be without your successful black marriage?
Mm.
Hmm. Well, I know I definitely would still be in Tallahassee. I would definitely be there. Um, I don't know. My being in my marriage, I can say that it exposed the weakest parts of me, which made me face those weakest parts and strengthen them for the better. So
Wonderful answer,
without,
Trey.
That's very good.
hmm,
That's
yeah.
That's
beautiful.
very good.
So without my successful black marriage to my beautiful black man, I would probably
Mm.
be that same weak little girl in Tallahassee earning $42,000. I mean $42,000 annually with a baby. Probably another baby too, because we would still be fucking, but
Huh?
I would we wouldn't be where we at. We wouldn't be where we at.
I like to hear that. Okay, that's good, Tree, because you said something with that though. With the weak, it exposed the weaker parts of you. I like that.
Hmm.
I like that. Okay, E.
First of all, shouts out to Marlon. Uh, he was the classmate that texted me.
Okay.
So yeah, blame class 2000 for
Napier.
messing me up.
What's
Hey
that's
up,
Marlon.
Marlon?
that's
What's
my
going
longest
on?
homie. I know Marlon for almost 40 years now. Um, but yeah, where would I be? I'll be a hoe. I'll be a hoe out here in these streets.
Me too.
Nah.
Singing that motion.
Oh. No, man, I mean, life just it definitely wouldn't be as fulfilling. Um,
You need me?
like being able to pour the energy into this marriage has helped me to be more focused um and even more creative in some of the things that I've already had or be able to refocus that energy um and really just tons of experiences that I was maybe too afraid to take on. um like I said, we both have that air sign energy, but the one of the things because of that is like she's a Gemini, so she's just ready to. Versus I'm a Libra, and we can be kind of stagnant because we're trying to weigh everything out. So she's been able to kind of pull me out of that funk and be like, "Look here, like stop being stuck because you are able to do these things." So from like taking flights, we done been to Puerto Rico, we done been to Greece, we done been to Miami, which I know sound weird, but I had never been to Miami. The first 43 years of my life. Um, yeah, like just dealing with those experiences, I wouldn't have had even the downsides, like dealing with the health issues and having to be a caretaker to her father, and then dealing with the death of my father. Um, I wouldn't be able to handle. I wouldn't be able to handle that if I didn't have her by my side. like I don't know where I'd be, because that was devastating. And even to this day, like I'm still learning and unpacking how much the grief has affected me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, she was my buttress. She was my comfort. She was who held me up, because that was a blow. And I don't know. I at this point, even 5 years was compared to Clint, compared to Treem, like it's short. That's a snap. But so much has happened, and I don't know if I would have experienced some of the things or be able to deal with the experiences I've dealt if I didn't have her and this thing we got called marriage to be here to support me through it. And so, yeah, I guess really I don't know where I'd be at. I don't want to imagine. I'm just grateful for what I got.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God.
Great response,
Amen.
E.
Mm-hmm.
Clint.
Well, you know, I would say pretty much like he was talking about, like with all that I've had to deal with, in my life, the most serious has been, when I lost my little brother last year. That was tough. Didn't think that was gonna happen, but she stood right by me. She made sure that I was good. So just imagining going through all of that stuff and not having somebody that I really, really have emotionally connected with. I mean, you can go to your mom and dad and stuff like that, but when you're married, the marriage is the strongest relationship you have. So if I wouldn't have had that, I mean, I think it would have been hit me 10 times as worse. With disappointment that I've been through, with some failures, some setbacks, and being able to lean on, my wife for my shortcomings, I think is really a blessing to be able to count on somebody to that level. So
Mm-hmm.
I probably would be a single man. I probably wouldn't be looking for much. I'd be probably so focused on career, but that's no kind of life to live. So I'm glad that I'm in the situation I'm in. I'm glad that I have the support that I do, and I'm very thankful that she was my person.
Y'all gave such beautiful responses. Everything, all of that was good. Everything was healthy. Y'all fought through some trials and tribulations in your marriage. The focus of because it sounds to me like everybody has some of the same responses when it comes to them being limited in their lives as a single person, opposed to who they have. So
Mm.
it's not like you wouldn't accomplish goals, you wouldn't do things, but you may not have that thought that I want to have new experiences. I want to go do this. I want to go do that, because a
Mm-hmm.
person having somebody with you makes that more possible,
Oh yeah.
because now you don't have just your vision, you have their vision as well as yours.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and just hearing that you have a support system within your partner is beneficial. So I'm hearing that life would have been limited. I'm hearing that I would have been stagnant in certain areas. I'm hearing that I would have just remained somewhere or in a place
Mm-hmm.
that didn't really make me happy or whole, but I'm doing it just because it's what I have to do.
Yep.
And in your marriage, you don't have to just you don't have to just settle. You don't have to say, I'm just doing this because this is what I have to do. It's
Mm-hmm.
y'all making choices, you got goals, you have life cycles that you're going through, and it's a benefit. So I'm happy to have brought you three on for this conversation today, and to hear the healthiness in your marriage and what made your marriage successful, and giving reminders to people that it's possible. Because if I didn't hear anything else today, I heard that there's always hope and there's always a benefit. There's always reasons as to why Black marriages do work. The
Mhm.
stigma of we don't know how to get along is literally just a stigma. It's a
Right.
picture painted about us, and you guys are shining examples as to why that's just a rumor. Thank y'all so much for tuning in today. Thank our guest panel. I really appreciate y'all for being honest, open books for our audience today and giving the people hope. So thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. And to
Thank
the
Thank you for
audience,
having
I
us.
will see y'all next Wednesday.
you. Okay. You go get that CPAP. Put some on
We
your
All
better
right.
because
Oh,
listen,
yeah. You know what I'm saying? You gonna put that work in.
listen,
He charging it up right now. Well, hey,
yeah,
what
I
that
was.
thing run on diesel?
Just gotta hook it up, man. You gotta hook it up.
Oh my God, I thought she forgot about that. She did not forget about that.
Go
All
straight.
right, y'all. Thank y'all so much. I will see y'all next Wednesday. And as always, 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 peace and love. Y'all take care of yourselves. All
Good
right.
seeing y'all. Good seeing y'all. Have a good night.
Have a good
Bye.
one. Oh, y'all crazy.